What's up, guys? Tobin here with you. Thanks for checking out the channel. Hope everybody's doing fantastic out there. Definitely better than Celtics fans this morning. Man, that Jason Tatum, it's a little tough when he doesn't get a gazillion points from Derek White, eh? Riding those coattails this entire postseason. It's fine. I can see you guys putting the montages together, though. You guys look like Knicks fans. Oh, look at the numbers since he faked falling against Bam Adebayo. His own doing, my friend. That spider, though. Oh, my God. Whew. Goodness gracious. Well, speaking of him, wanted to get into this. So, off the press conference this week, been talking. It's been very Jimmy-centric, as it's going to be. You know, there's going to be Jimmy rumors flying all over the place. People are going to try and feed that beast. I saw our boy Wes Goldberg. Love you, Wes. Got NBA Central yesterday because they made it sound like he is reporting that he expects Jimmy Butler to get traded. And I don't know what to tell you. That's tough. That's tough with them because they are. It's the depths of hell. That entire. I don't know if I can explain NBA Central to people and what it's like getting grabbed by their algorithm, and then you get in the mentions of that. Like I have to. It's happened a handful of times for old toes, right? I'm not gonna sit here and act like I'm Woj, but when it's happened, I'm like immediately, you got to mute that conversation because it is swirling takes hell of all the stuff that you go and just everybody just peppering you. Look, good for them. They made themselves a very popular Twitter account, but was basically just saying his opinion was that he thinks he expects Jimmy Butler to be traded. But he wasn't reporting that. It's his opinion, which if you came off of Monday's press conference, I wouldn't say it's a wrong opinion to have. You can have your opinion of what's going to happen. I really think it's all going to come down to money, with the whole Jimmy Butler thing. As we've been saying this entire time, we could talk about confrontation, we could talk about feelings, we could talk about how did Jimmy take it. I think Jimmy takes it fine if you give him $58 million more guaranteed. If you don't, not going to be great, especially if you give Bam Adebayo money and not him. There is that's definitely going to be something that flares up. But let's just say that the Jimmy thing does work out. What is going to be around him is going to be the big question. Will Pat Riley finally step into the box and be able to connect on a home run swing? That's the big deal. This whole idea that there doesn't have to be major changes, crazy. I mean, you got to find some type of, as Pat Riley puts it, needle mover to put next to Bam and next to Jimmy. And the big question is, do they have it on their roster right now? Because I know we're going to get into a summer of feeling stuff, right? Nikola Jović, Jaime Jaquez. This is going to be the first summer where Tyler Hero's not really going to be the number one asset that the Miami Heat are probably going to be asked for. For many summers, we did this whole Tyler Hero debate. What's Tyler Hero's value? What is Tyler Hero going to be? It's not going to be Tyler. And if I would say anything, Tyler right now is almost on the other side of it. Is people thinking that he's very talented. He's obviously very young and can score you 20 points. But what is he as a postseason player? Can he be effective like that? No, I think the Miami Heat have their young little duo right there. And probably, if anything, people are going to be asking for a legit all-star. They're probably going to be asking for both of them. And so that's why I was very curious when Pat was asked about this, about his assessment of their year by Brady Hawk at Monday's press conference. I was wondering how much of this does Pat find legit and how much of this is Pat Riley, how should I put this, propping up his assets, right? Because last year when we went into the summer, he had a lot of praise for Tyler Hero. Had a lot of he did not have the same tone. Now, he tried to walk it back, I think, a little bit this after his initial comments about Tyler. But this time around with Nico and with Jaime, where is it going to stand as far as these guys are concerned? Here is the Godfather, Pat Riley, on his two young, promising pieces.
They're two great pieces for us. It all happened like that for Nico. Last year he went through, the back issues. The learning curve was off the charts. Still, we saw something. This year, when we put him in the game, I think you could see from 70 to 80% of his game, this guy is going to have some talent. And it's all about repetitions and IQ and learning more. It's a new way of conditioning for a 20-year-old guy that has to, I think, cardio more than anything else. You don't want to make him big and muscular. He's a great athlete. He's got great instincts. He's unselfish, and he's a good rebounder. He's coast-to-coast guy. So in Jaime...
We'll get to Jaime in a second. But I think, look, a lot of that stuff was legit that I think Riley was talking about with Nico. Good assessment of him. I do wonder... I don't look at Nico as a guy who needs to get a lot bigger. I think Nico looked physically like he was holding his own this year. The only thing I would say with him that really looks like it's going to be the next part of it is, all right, when it's not a fast break, can Nico go? We think that he can go create in the half court. Can he go score in the half court and just getting that speed? But that's, dude, he's going to be 21 next month. So there's still time to grow there. The question with him, with the whole IQ thing, Spo very clearly, once they got into the playoffs, reverted to not really trusting him that much in the whole Celtics series. And I thought out of, what they should have done, they should have kept kind of letting him sink or swim. That's the way I would have gone with it. But I get it. Spo gave him a lot more run this year than I thought that he was going to. And he earned it. He earned those minutes. And he played really well. Good shooter this year. I think a lot better than I thought he was going to be, hitting those open shots and taking those opportunities. He did and really did such a good job for a guy who does like the ball in his hands and does like to create for people. Did a good job, I thought, just standing in the corner and taking those open shots and nailing them or trying to nail them when they're there. Yeah, people are going to be in love with that. When the trade calls come in this year, people are going to be in love with that, and they're going to try and swoon the Miami Heat. It'd be like, oh, you want Spida, you want Dame, you want this? Give us the giant Serbian kid. And I'm also very curious. Listen, if he goes to Paris this year to play in the Olympics, could be more of a place to really display him, because last year, he was starting on the team that won the silver medal in FIBA. So I'm crying on the court there, just turning a fresh 20 years old at that point. We know for this roster, we know that Jimmy Butler has a relationship with him. He's referred to him as a big brother. Had his picture in his locker this year. And I do think that if you ask the Miami Heat, this is an interesting one, like which one of these two guys would they keep if they could keep one? And I don't even know if they're going to be able to if they want to make a real big swing this year. But if they were able to keep one, which one would it be? But first, let's get to Riley's thoughts on Jaime Jaquez Jr.
In Jaime, if he had not gotten hurt with the groin earlier in the season, I think, and if he hadn't, because he plays, he would have played 82 games. He ended up playing 75 games, and believe me, he was hurting when he missed those games. But he's a proud young warrior that will play every night for you, and he hit a wall somewhat with the first groin injury, and then we went through other injuries. Then his role changed a little bit. Then he sat down for a while, and he came in and out, and that doesn't help a player, Continuity and consistency is every night I know what I'm going to get. So if we're paying 1 through 8, 9 to be those players, and then you get a rookie, at 18 that all of a sudden shows out, you say you're pretty fortunate, like we were with Bam and Tyler, Nico, and with Jaime. So we like our base. We like those two guys, a lot.
And there's no reason not to like him. He really did have, for the most part, a fantastic year. I think in moments, especially in the play-in and early in the playoffs before he got hurt again, show that kid's not afraid. He'll go and he'll attack the basket. There were definitely parts of his game that got figured out, but how could you not? I almost feel like it was almost unfair in some levels because they called him not a true rookie for a lot of this, or not your traditional rookie, and everybody was expecting, he was going to be completely NBA ready. But it's a lot of basketball. You were going to go through some wear and tear. But Pat Riley obviously proud that he played and that he was available, and that even when wasn't 100% was trying to grind through it and get through injuries. I think that showed the Miami Heat a lot. You wonder, and I'm going at this from a perspective of with Bam and Jimmy, if Jimmy Butler and his future are with the Miami Heat, even with Jaime's age, is there, a little bit too much crossover there? Could they figure out playing both of those guys together? Now, that's with Bam on the court. There was a point in the year when he was talking about that adjustment, when Jimmy came back, that was really the second unit that he was playing with the UCLA duo, with Kevin and with Jaime. And you had a lot of Jaime, being found on cuts. He said this year that he has to become a knockdown shooter and be a lockdown defender. The Heat really did try and throw him into the fire. But there does have to be some growth there defensively for sure. I don't think it's a physical standpoint. I think it's just a matter of getting down the system and showing that desire, because I think he can be a pain in the ass. And you know that he really respects Jimmy Butler's game. So if he can get to the part where he is becoming and causing more havoc on those passing lanes and getting in there and getting fast break buckets that way, if he can perfect that even more, yeah, you're talking about a really, really crisp, good piece for the Miami Heat. But the question remains with Miami is, can they really do this retooling around Jimmy and Bam? And again, I'm going at this segment thinking that they're both going to be back. In my opinion, just so we're clear, and just going at this also just hypothetically, let's do this without dropping the atomic bomb of Jimmy Butler being traded. So Miami making a move, let's just say Donovan Mitchell, let's call it Damian Lillard, whatever, knowing that the cost will likely have to include both of those guys with no picks to really give up, right? That those guys are going to be the big piece. But if you could keep one, let's just say the Miami Heat can get through this summer retooling without giving up both of them. And I think if you're going to go through a summer and you're going to bring back Jimmy and Bam, one of those guys at least is going to have to go, if not both, to go make a seismic move. Which one would the Miami Heat fan rather bring back? Which one would the organization rather bring back, or which one would the coaching staff rather bring back? Because I can tell you from a marketing standpoint, I think that the Miami Heat really want to build around Jaime. I think Jaime is kind of like the new marketing darling of the Miami Heat. You saw like right away the dude was doing all the autograph signings. Obviously gets a big pop down here in Miami. Kids at the White House basically as the season just ends. In the national commercials, distinguished look, cool, has the fashion thing like Tyler did, right? I just think that his, his marketability is definitely from a standpoint. So if I would ask the boys in the marketing department and the boys and girls in the marketing department, hey, who's the guy? Who's got the it factor? He's the guy. It used to be Tyler. Tyler was the guy. Oh, my God. Tyler had the loudest pop. Tyler was selling the most jerseys. Tyler was the guy that they would, ask what their uniforms, how do they like their uniforms, all this type of stuff. I think if everybody comes back this year, I think that's going to be Jaime. I think that he's the guy that, they would want to build the whole thing around as far as that's concerned. Coaching staff wise, yeah, it did feel like Spo trusted Jaime a little bit more. I mean, hell, he was closing games early on in the year. With Nico, he found his little niche where he was starting. Is Spo going to trust that more? They talk about the details that he's got to get right. Even Bam put echo to this about the details, getting all the details right. Can he get all of that stuff by year 3 and be at a trustworthy standpoint? I do think from a fit standpoint, it's a little bit more natural just to have Bam, Nico. He's going to fit right in there. Maybe there's going to be times in the year where you put a little bit more throttle on him to be a guy where they could trust him more. They'll give him more shots. They'll put the ball in his hands more. Spo has called the duo of him and Bam. He thinks that there's a dynamic element to that. Love the fact that he's going to keep playing basketball this summer, as Bam is as well. And we know that Jimmy Butler's very fond of him. We know that not that he's not of Jaime, but we know that there seems to be a little bit of a kinship there with Jimmy and with Nikola Jović. So I almost feel like the basketball side of this thing makes more sense with Nikola Jović if they could only keep one. And I hate doing it like this, more so as like the flash and who's going to have the it factor, who's going to have the star factor, who would be a go-to guy at the end of games. That I would say it's probably going to be Jaime. And then obviously everybody's, looking at the way European basketball for the most part is taken over in this league and what he brings, the element. He's going to be there for one of the countries that has the MVP, the 3-time MVP on it. Is he going to become the Joker? No, I'm not saying he's going to become the Joker, but it's that I think is the intriguing element of him. 6'11", could he get even bigger? Been dying to put some size next to Bam Adebayo. He didn't look physically. Everybody said, didn't look physically overwhelmed. I think it's a details. It's a mentality thing. But I also think that like the 21-year-old 6'11" kid who can, who's not going to want that on their roster when talking about trading for a star? So I feel like he's going to be the first guy everybody asks for is going to be Nico. And that's great to them that they've made themselves. It's no longer, can we convince somebody that Tyler Hero is going to be that guy? No, I think people will look at a guy like Nikola Jović and be like, all right, you want this guy? You want this guy? That's the guy that we want. And it's upon the Heat to decide, all right, who is the more untouchable guy? Are they going to be able to make any major move without giving up both of them because of their lack of draft picks? It's a big conundrum coming up this summer.